Hey, it's David. So today we need to get into something. Honestly, I feel like I might be wasting my breath at this point, but I want you to know that whatever I say with love, and I'm going to try to deliver this with love as well because, wow, have we gone into some topics that have probably shown my passionate and fiery side more so than some of the other stuff I've covered in the past. So, number one, like, how motivated are you? I want you to rate yourself on a scale of 0 to 10, because honestly, I think it's possible to be like 0 motivated, not at all motivated. And let me qualify that a little bit further. Are you willing to do nothing of what it takes to get to where you want to go? Are you willing to do some things that might be required to get you to where you want to go? Are you willing to do most things required to get you to where you want to go? Are you willing to do everything that's required for you to get to where you want to go? Now, I think most people are going to rate themselves pretty high automatically, but as you continue to question and look for yourself and participate in this conversation, I think you'll find that you may not be as high up there as you think you are. What actions have you taken to this point? Let's also look at that. What actions have you taken to this point that would qualify you as someone that we might consider a go-getter? We'll talk more about being a go-getter later in this episode, but what things have you done that others would look and go, wow, like you are someone that really goes after things and actually takes steps and actually takes actions? Look, if you haven't, or if you don't rate yourself very high on that scale of 0 to 10 of motivated, if you're not really willing to do whatever it takes to get to where you want to go, just acknowledge that. Acknowledge that you are where you are right now, and that can change. But it does underscore, if you find yourself at like a 3 or a 4, it really does underscore the notion that you need to engage. I'm not even going to say you need to. I would suggest, I would recommend engaging in mindset work, like attitude psychology. And I know so often this stuff really appears fluffy, but listen to the stories of those who've gone through hardship and still came out on the other side victorious, or read those biographies or watch those documentaries, because they're inspiring, right? But understanding that very typically achieving success on your terms, whatever that may look like, takes way more effort than you think it will and takes way more time than you ever think it will. And that's been my experience as well. But I had a conversation yesterday that really highlighted to me like, wow, I now have a deep appreciation for where I am because I have accomplished something on this journey. But even what I have now, like I'm an entrepreneur, so I'm always seeing further. It's kind of like, what's next? But when I sat down with my friend yesterday, who is a millionaire, and if he's not, I mean, he's got a business that can easily supply him with those resources. It made me aware of how far I've come compared to where I was. My living situation is pretty amazing. My contract in big tech is amazing. What we're doing over at Spark Infinity is amazing. So everything I've been able to accomplish to this point hasn't all been wins. It hasn't all been victories. It was much harder work than I ever expected it to be. And it took way longer than I thought it would. But I am starting to see the things that I wanted manifest. And I endured and sat through and listened to a lot of BS along the way that didn't work. That's maybe another talk for another time. But I am where I am now, enjoying the life that I enjoy now because of the decisions I made and the actions I took. And I was willing. Now, at times, I really came across things that I found to be incredibly trying and tough and difficult. Being honest when I really did not feel like being honest. Going through financial hardships, going through downturns. There were many, many things on this journey that probably would have made a lot of people give up, unfortunately. That goes back to that question of how motivated are you on a scale of 0 to 10. If you're not motivated, if you're not a 9 or 10, And if you hadn't figured out that that's the point, if you are not a 9 or 10, there are things on this journey that will probably want to make you stop, whether it's injuries or deaths in the family or illness or financial setbacks or other things that have a tendency of cropping up on this journey because the journey is long. More often than not, it's not like a few months, usually a few years, sometimes a few decades to get to where you want to go. It's inevitable that things will come up along the way that need to be dealt with. So next point, have you read The Magic of Thinking Big? It's okay if you haven't. Now may be a good time if you haven't had the chance to look at this work yet. Magic of Thinking Big is a classic personal development book. And it's one of those books where people often look at it and read it and go, oh, this is so common sense. I already know this. Although, weirdly, I've heard that from people who've read, or apparently read, The Renegade Musician as well. And not only are there proprietary frameworks in there, as I've said before, but I just don't know anyone that's combined the different inputs that I have in that book. I haven't seen it. So I'm not saying my book is completely unique. That's not it. I've based it off of the works of others, no question, as well as my own experiences. But you saying you know it, if you haven't done anything with it, you don't know. So very simply, my mentors shared this with me. To know and not to do is not to know. To know and not to do is not to know. If you haven't done it, you don't know. So you got to actually do these things. You can't just think about them intellectually or debate them or get into philosophy like we talked about last time. You actually got to do them. So read The Magic of Thinking Big and pay careful attention to what's said about the failure disease, excusitis. Making excuses is the failure disease. Where are you making excuses in your career right now? All you got to do is look at what's not working. I mean, look at this soberly. Who else and what else is responsible for the results you've gotten in your career? It can't be external. You may want to blame a tree stump. You may want to blame a fire hydrant. You may want to blame a friend who criticizes you every time they see you. You can blame any of those things, but at the end of the day, your friend who criticizes you and puts you down is about as significant as a fire hydrant. If you've got a strong enough mindset and you took the time to develop that and engage in mindset work, that friend wouldn't bother you. Or at the very least, it wouldn't stop you from continuing on. So look honestly, where are you making excuses? And nowadays, tell me if I'm wrong. I want to know who are our leaders out there. I really would like to know. But it's very uncommon. I don't see it very often. People who take full ownership for where they are. This is what leadership looks like. It looks like taking full responsibility for where you are in your life, in your career, and anything else you're doing, taking full responsibility. So that's a question. Do you take full responsibility for where you are? And so here's another problem that I often see in this category is people will take responsibility for their successes, but not their failures. So when their failures happen, they blame someone or something else. It's like, oh, my assistant screwed up. Well, did your assistant screw up or did you screw up? Because the reality is you should have trained your assistant. So your assistant isn't adequately empowered to do the work you need them to do in the way that you need them to do it. So who's responsible here? You're responsible. A leader always takes responsibility, not just for successes. That's easy to do. We could all take responsibility for successes. Oh, look, I did this. Look how amazing I am. Not accounting for luck or anything else, right? But taking responsibility for failures. Wow. Wouldn't that be revolutionary? Wouldn't that be new? Are you the kind of person that takes responsibility for your successes and failures? Because that's what leadership looks like. So what excuses are you making? And where are you making excuses and why are you making excuses? It really doesn't matter whether it's the weather or it's an illness or it's an injury or it's something else. I know life presents us with all kinds of situations, believe you me. And there are some times when you need to retreat. There are times when you need to course adjust. There are times when you need to rethink the way you've been doing things because your circumstances dictate that you have to. I'm not negating that, but that is taking ownership as well. Going, well, I'm not going to achieve my dreams the way I thought I would, but I can make some adjustments. Next, are you a go-getter? Have you read the book, The Go-Getter? That's an action. But again, it's not just about reading these books, right? I need to remind you, it's not just about reading the books. It's about applying them. So if you read Magic of Thinking Big, what are some practical things you can apply? Here's something that I remember from the Magic of Thinking Big because I've read it enough times to know what's in there. And I could read it another time and probably benefit from it. And I could probably read it 10 more times and continue to benefit from it. But one of the things the Magic of Thinking Big teaches is buying quality stuff. So having fewer quality things because they tend to last you longer is something the book talks about. And that's something I can recite and tell you without having to look in the book or read it again. What are some quality things I have in my life that have lasted a very long time? I don't have that many things in my life nowadays. I downsized a lot when I decided that I was going to become a digital nomad. And so I downsized and minimized my belongings. But one thing I held on to, of course, is my Ernie Ball Music Man Axis that I affectionately call Haley. That guitar has been with me amazingly, I think for close to 20 years. Yeah, it's hard to believe. Still a quality guitar, still love it. Little scuffed up, some bruises, some scratches, things like that. But wow, still a great guitar, still sounds great, still plays great. Still one of my favorite pieces of gear. Expensive? Yeah, but perhaps cheaper than buying an $150 guitar every year, right? But let's go back to talking about being a go-getter. And I really want you to sit here and think about this and ponder this. Being a go-getter, what happens in a lot of situations is, like, let's say you're trying to book a show. What most artists will do is they'll call the venue or the booker once. Maybe not even call. They'll send them an email, right? So most artists will send an email once. If they don't hear back, they're out. So that's the majority right there. But step 2 is you follow up with a second, third, or even fourth email. Not many artists are doing that. You still don't hear back, but you want the gig, right? So now you call. Now you make a phone call to the venue. You don't get through to anyone, but you leave a message. And you do this 2 or 3 times again. You don't get through to them. Next, you personally go down to the venue, shake hands, and get to know people. And you find out that the booker isn't there. So you ask, when are they coming in? And you're told, well, they're on vacation, but in a month and a half, they should be back. And you're like, well, that's not very exact, but I'm going to mark it on my calendar and return in a month and a half. So you return in a month and a half. And finally, you meet the key decision maker. But the decision maker says to you, oh, if you want to play here first, you need to get in with this other venue. By now, this is getting ridiculous, right? I'm thinking probably by now, 98% of artists have already given up. They're just like, okay, this has already been a big runaround. This has been ridiculous. It's taken me a month and a half just to meet this guy. I've sent 4 emails. I've left 4 voicemails. I've met everyone in the venue. And now they're telling me that first, before I can even book a show at this venue, I've got to go and play at another venue. Forget about it. A go-getter would not say, forget about it. A go-getter would go and get the gig with the other venue, get the proper credentials, jump through whatever other hoops come up along their way to make this gig happen. So the question is, on a scale of 0 to 10, how much of a go-getter are you? So in conclusion, if you're thinking to yourself, well, I would have had to have been born the kind of person you're describing there, David, to even be one of them. And I'll say no, like wherever you are right now is not only perfect, but it's exactly where you need to be. The question is whether you're willing to put in the work to become the person that you're fully capable of becoming. Because I don't think I was born with those leadership qualities. I don't think I was born with a responsibility or accountability bone in me. I really do wonder. But along the way, the journey got tough. And I asked myself, what are my options? Like, if I give up today, I'm still alive, right? So how is that an option? And I looked at suicide and I said, well, that's not an option either. I'm not taking that route. So you're saying I have no option. There are no other options. The option is to continue on. I might take longer than a lot of people to achieve the degree of success that I want to achieve. It may take more work. I may encounter things that other people don't encounter. I'm really trying not to judge the journey too much, and I'm really trying not to judge myself too much. Because, man, I continue to be faced with uncomfortable things, and I think to myself, didn't I already put in the work to get over that years ago? Like, didn't I get over the discomfort of meeting people, talking to people, networking, sending cold pitches? Didn't I get over all that criticism from social media? Didn't I get over all this stuff? Progressively, I'm finding yes. But I thought I'd conquered this like 10 years ago, 15 years ago. Not recently. You know what I'm saying? So things could take a while. And you can go at your own pace. There's really nothing wrong with you going at your own pace. But you gotta look at these things. How motivated are you? Have you read and applied The Magic of Thinking Big? Have you read and applied The Go-Getter? I heard my mentor say something a long time ago that I think applies here. If you're willing, you won't have to. But if you're unwilling, you'll be forced to. What things are you unwilling to do? Because you may find yourself in situations where to navigate to the next step on your journey, on the ladder of success that you're climbing, you may need to find a way to overcome that. So what are you unwilling to do? And as I said, don't worry about trying to have this all down right now. Don't worry about trying to be perfect. Don't worry about trying to be born a certain way. The question is really, are you willing to go on a journey of becoming the person that you need to become to create what you want to create? That's the question. Unlock the secrets to skyrocketing your productivity, boosting performance, and maximizing profits with my latest premium guide, the Productivity, Performance, and Profits Black Book. Tailored for independent artists and entrepreneurs, this comprehensive resource is your roadmap to turning ideas into reality. Say goodbye to abandoned projects collecting dust on your shelves or buried in your hard drives. It's time to bring your vision to life. Grab your free copy of the Productivity, Performance, and Profits Black Book now at davidandrewweeb.com/blackbook. That's WIEBE. Don't miss out on the key to unlocking your success.